Alright, here we go. Time for version 3 of this deck. You know the drill. Go watch the other deck profiles if you have any questions. What I really like about Quints is that it really feels like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck where there is constant support coming out, and with the recent announcement of the premium booster set in JP, like, let's be honest, there's no way we're not getting this in English. Here's another Yotsuba deck profile. This is the movie set, aka the memory compression Yotsuba build. Out of all the builds, this one is my personal favorite. This is an 8 gold bar, green, yellow, so let's get started. First off, we have outstanding physical ability Yotsuba. She states that if you have 4 or more other characters, you could rest this card, draw one, ditch one, and her other effect is act. Rest this card. If there is a card in your memory, choose one of your characters and they gain 500 power in the following ability. When this card reverses an opponent in battle, your opponent heals and then you send that character to their clock. It comes in play offensively, so you can get rid of on-reverse effects and encores, and that's for any character. Her first effect is also super solid if you are trying to dig through your deck or just filter out your hand. Here is each and everyone's strength from the first set. That is right, we're going back in time for this one. Global 500 to all Quints, and she is a bar fixer. When you ditch a card, top check up to 2 cards, you could add one to your hand. What you ditch doesn't matter, and there is no restriction on the addition to your hand. It's a solid card. Here is New Year Yotsuba. She is a climax swapper, and she gains a soul when she is in the middle position. Moonmaker Yotsuba is a drop search and a drop salvage when she is played from hand. She is both of them at the same time, so you choose what effect goes off first. This really is a space saver in your deck. Quintessential Quintuplet Yotsuba is a pay 1 tap self-searching brainstorm and act. Pay 1, ditch a climax, you clock salvage, and then you give a character 500 power. What is great about the last effect is that it is an act, so you can do it multiple times in a turn as long as you have cost, so you could clear up your hand. Alright, now let's get started with the cards that are going to be sent to your memory. Active Lifestyle Yotsuba is on attack. You give a character 500 power equal to the amount of other characters that you have, and during your opponent's turn, when this card becomes reversed in battle, you can pay 1, rest this card. At the start of your encore step, send it to your memory. Fairly self-explanatory. You use it offensively and defensively. Flower's Gratitude is on play from hand, you mill 2, and this card gains 1k power for each Yotsuba or reason for transferring schools milled. I don't run the event, so don't worry about it. And when this card is reversed in battle, you can pay 1, ditch 1, send this to your memory, salvage a character. The milling is nice, she can be at 3k 5 power, and the memory cost is a bit steep, but it is during either player's turn, so you could plop this on the stage and sit on it to force your opponent to run into it, or alternatively, you could crash it for the soul damage. My memory with you states that if you have this card in your memory, all of your special Yotsubas gain 500 power. That is your level 3. We'll worry about that when we get there. Her memory effect is when this card becomes reversed in battle, put a card from your hand to your clock and you search your deck for a character. Now, the first effect does stack, so you have 2 in your memory. That is 1k power to all of your level 3 Yotsubas. Now, this one is also a solid one to sit on because if your opponent runs it over, you could pay the cost, search your deck. You're going to be taking out a card for your deck and you get a new deck state during your opponent's turn to potentially cancel. It is very solid. All in all, these cards are great to keep on board, or if you're brave enough during your first deck, you crash into them and hope for the best. I personally keep these on board as a wall during my first deck and then crash them when I'm close to my second deck or on my second deck. Play however you feel comfortable, but you need to send these cards to your memory ASAP. And moving over to the level 1s, First Date has character discount encore, and during your turn, if your memory has 2 or more cards, this gains 2k power in the following ability. When this card attacks a level 2 character, this gains 6k power. It is a level 2 killer, and if you combine it with outstanding physical ability Yotsuba, which is this card if you forgot, you can get rid of problematic cards fairly easily. We're still running this one, it's an anti-early drop, you know the drill. So you have a level 2 killer and an anti-early drop because fuck standby. First Day After Party states that you could rest this card and you give a character 2k power. On play from hand, if you have 2 or more other Yotsuba characters, you could draw one, ditch one. And then when you level up, you could pay 1, send this card to your memory. Top check up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose a Yotsuba, and then you ditch the rest. All around a nice back row card, and she also sends herself to your memory. The 2k power is super solid as well. You could definitely replace this card with a free fresh counter if you would like, and I would actually recommend that one instead of this one. You know what? Replace this card with the free fresh counter, the one from the last video, and you know, this deck would be a whole lot better. At work, Yotsuba is a level assist 500 forward, and on play from hand, you can send a My Memory with You, which is this one because I know you forgot what it is, from the waiting room to your memory. And she is a bar fixer. You draw one, ditch one. Here is Besides You Yotsuba. She gains 1k5 power during your turn if you have a card in your memory, and on play from hand you could pay 1. Call a cost 0 Yotsuba character from your waiting room, and then you send it to the memory at the end of your turn. For 1 stock, you call a character from your waiting room, and then you also get to load up your memory. Very good card and comes in handy when you're prepping for your level 1 combo. Although the pay 1 kind of does suck because you are trying to save your stock. More on that later. But speaking of your level 1 combo, Unperulled Beauty Yotsuba states that during your turn, this card gains 500 power for each of your other Quints characters and climax combo. Alright, listen up, this one's a little funky. When this card attacks, if you have parting with a memory in play and you have another Quints character, look up to X cards from the top of your deck, choose a character, reveal it to your opponent, add it to your hand, send the rest to the waiting room. If your memory has 4 or more cards, X is 7. If you have 3 or less cards in your memory, X is equal to the number of cards in your memory plus 3. The climax is a 1k1 and a gold bar when triggered. Super weird, but you're top checking 7 if your memory has 4 or more, or 3 or less cards in your memory, you're top checking whatever you have in your memory plus 3. So either way, you are going to be top checking something and you're adding a character. At times, I would cycle through my whole deck and hit a refresh. This is a solid combo. Also, remember, count your cards before you do this effect. You have the top check to account for as well as your trigger. You don't always have to go for the highest number, especially when you're on your second deck. Level 2s. There are no level 2s, but there are some early plays, so let's get that out of the way. Quintuplet? Quintuplet. Is that a word? I mean, I guess it's on the card. Trials is a 4 or more character early play. Memory. During your turn, if you have 3 or more other Yotsuba characters in your memory, this gains 2k5 power in the following ability. On reverse, Memory Shoot. And on play, ditch a card, stock heal. You get rid of problem cards with some support, and she is very easy to early play, and you stock heal as well. Always prioritizing other states that if you have 3 or more characters in your memory, this is an early play and on play heal. Yeah, not the best, but it's easy to call out, and she is on play heal and base 10k. I mean, we can't all be Nino, you know? So there is another Yotsuba early play, which is this one over here. Play around with your ratios and, you know, swap out cards to whichever early plays you do really like. And finally, the level 3 combo. Let's toss this over here. And special Yotsuba is on play heal and memory. 3 or more characters. This gains 1k power and on attack. You could pay 2, ditch 2, burn 2. And climax combo. On attack, if you have feelings void of lies and 3 or more characters in your memory, you could pay 1, burn 2. The climax is a 1k1 and a gold bar when triggered. So she's going to be at 10k5 if you have 3 or more cards in your memory, 11k5 on climax, and if you have, by memory with you, Yotsuba in your memory, that's going to give it an extra 500 power, depending on how many you have. That's this card, because I know you don't remember the name of it. Now, the actual climax combo effect is a little counterintuitive to what the deck is actually leading up to. You want to keep hand and you want to keep stock, so you really need to work in building those resources and maintaining those resources. You need a lot of stock to work with. At most, you are good with 2 Yotsubas when you use the climax combo effect and maybe the secondary burn effect. I have won some games with 2 Yotsubas on board. One Yotsuba does both burn effects while the other Yotsuba does the climax combo burn, and then you throw down a little weenie to crash into something. It's a solid effect. I mean, it is an Itsuki, but it is something. And there we have it, Ribbon Power version 3. And when the premium booster set comes out, there will be a version 4. This deck is pretty solid. The memory compression is super easy to pull off. Some games I have up to 4 cards in my memory with clean stock because of the gold bar effects. With the compression, your opponent will be swinging heavy into open lanes and their attacks will be cancelled. Now, this is a double-edged sword. You are also in risk of blind stocking your climaxes when you trigger. But because of the bar fixers, you are able to plus a lot more during late game because you can fix your hand from the bars to get other stuff that you need. Then again, it is gold bar. You might have all 8 climaxes in your hand. Now, this is a solid deck. It is fairly budget friendly as well, especially if you've been holding on to your Quints cards from set 1. So I did spend about $15 on this deck, and it's mainly just because of the newer cards, which, you know, 15 bucks for essentially like half of the cards, it's not that bad. And that is where we're gonna end today's video. What do you think of this deck? I like it. It isn't the best, but it can't stress your opponent out if you are super compressed. The multiple burn effects can also steal some games. Thank you all to my channel members scrolling up over here. They helped me build this deck. I truly, truly appreciate it. And next, we're going to take this to locals and see how we do. Take care, everyone. Catch y'all in the next one.